far, meetings in the GHA Council and the Libe Committee have proven fruitful in the eyes of the Commission. We understand that it will take some effort to reach common position on the amendments, and we want to make some specific remarks in order to try and keep the negotiations as clear and fluent as possible. First of all, it is extremely important that the GHA Council and the Libe Committee should consider the same issues and the same amendments, and the Commission will coordinate this as good as possible. We applaud the efforts made by the first rapporteur of the Libe Committee, who did an excellent job to make a clear list of amendments and suggest that the GHA Council follows this example. Secondly, we have noticed some issues with data retention periods and suggest that both the GHA Council makes clear statements on this topic as soon as possible in order to be able to come to a common point of view with the Libe Committee. Thirdly, a discussion has taken place at the GHA Council on the topic of expanding access to the entry-exit system. The Commission would like to note that the position of the Libe Committee on this point is rather strict, and we do not believe that the expansion of access is the way to go. We urge the GHA Council to take a quick stance on this in order to be able to move forward. Concerning the agenda of the European Council, the Commission applauds the work that has already been done by Mr. Tusk and every member state present. Irregular migration is an important issue that needs urgent attending, as the number of migrants entering the EU has reached an unprecedented level. Although a lot of important issues were raised during the discussion, such as funding and financial aid, we still feel that the fight against migrant smuggling should also be prioritized in order to stop these irregular migration flows. We need to attend to causes, not only the consequences. We need to change these activities from high profit, low risk to low profit and high risk. Considering the frontline member states, we as a union are supposed to share the burden. We should keep working together in order to aid these member states and create solutions for migrant relocation. Other topics haven't been discussed yet. Nevertheless, we want to stress that the asylum is a fundamental right and granting it is an international obligation. The Commission urges everybody to work with us in achieving this objective. Regarding the topic of the Blue Card Directive, we believe that it's necessary for Europe to attract more highly skilled workers, but we acknowledge the fact that this proposal needs to be revised in order to take into account more inclusive admission conditions and other stuff. We also support the discussion on the possibility of a registered travelers program, but urges all member states of the venues and all members of other venues, like MEPs, to take into account the technical study concerning this R2P conducted by the Commission. Thank you.
Dear esteemed colleagues, the European Council has begun discussion regarding measures to reduce flows of irregular immigration. Discussion towards achieving consensus in this field of the draft conclusions has helped tremendously in this respect, not reducing the content of the draft conclusions presented beforehand to these delegates, but rather expanding upon them in a way that is more comprehensive and viewed as optimal to all parties relevant. It is therefore important that the European Council remains steadfast in approaching irregular immigration in as comprehensive and cohesive a manner as possible. I applaud all previous work done towards reducing flows of irregular migration. It is important to realize that in relatively uncertain times that there has been work done to reduce irregular migration, particularly through Turkey and Greece. And this was a point addressed repeatedly throughout the European Council. We must use these successes to move forward in a way that is positive, not just for the European Council, but for all parties involved, as well as ensuring an outcome mutually beneficial to all individual member states, as well as other European institutions. It is important that we find consensus, both within the European Council and amongst all relevant parties, such as the European Commission and the European Parliament. I remain fully confident that the European Council will find consensus regarding an outcome for curtailing and addressing irregular migration as we move forward in addressing this issue affecting the European Union. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my fellow delegates and faculty. I would like to welcome each and every one of you to this conference this year on maintaining border security throughout our European Union. Europe continues to be one of the most attractive places to live worldwide, and one of its challenges of migration and entry-exit system provide clear evidence of that. We must continue to work towards securing our borders while making Europe as an inclusive place as possible for everyone. My name is Valentin Radev, and I am the sitting chair of the Justice and Home Affairs Council for the Bulgarian presidency. It is our goal over the next 6 months to continue the work started by Estonia at the end of 2017 and lay the groundwork for Austria the later half of 2018. One of the main goals of the Bulgarian presidency is maintaining security and stability throughout our union, and the Justice and Home Affairs Council has been living up to our expectations. Throughout our sessions, we have been in a heated debate about Article 8 of the Commission's proposal on data access. 2 proposals on amendments to this topic have been brought forward by 2 member state coalitions, and I am confident that we will come to a consensus later this evening. We will also continue, as proposed by the Commission, to continue working side by side with the LIBE Committee to create a unique solution to this issue. United we stand strong. Without unity we are divided Europe. It is through these discussions and reflection that we will be able to reach our goal of making Europe stronger and reaching consensus. I look forward to working with my committee over the next few days, and I look forward to coming up with a consensus. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I bring you greetings from my colleagues in the Parliament. Today, my colleagues in the Parliament started exploiting the proposals that have been presented by the Commission, and then the Council draft as well. So the AFET Committee has made tremendous progress with respect to the rapporteur's proposal, and that has actually noticed one single amendment, but most of other parts of the proposals has actually passed through in the AFET Committee. For the LIBE Committee, working on the Commission's proposal and that of the Council, we have also noticed some tremendous progress. However, substantial work still needs to be done on it, so I wouldn't want to really go into those details for now. However, what I just want to say to the Congress right now is that though we have our differences, our views on how to move forward with respect to the subject, we have not lost focus on what is really fundamental, and that is to stay focused on a policy that unites us rather than divides us. And for this, I believe that what is really essential is that as we work towards creating a policy that keeps out those without a legitimate cause of business in the EU, we should also make sure that we have a policy for those who have interest in entering the EU and they have a legitimate cause for that they have something that doesn't discriminate against them, give them right access that is much better, much more functional in the interest of our union. We need to create a policy that works for us rather than work against us. And also, as we do that, we should also bear in mind that we know we want to keep our borders safe. We know that the fight against terrorism and the irregular migration is very, very important. But we must not stop shining as a beacon of hope to all those who are suffering from persecution and as a result of wars and all other civil unrest that is troubling them, because that will really go against the spirit of our union. And finally, I must also comment on this, that irrespective of the decision that we reach in this place, we must keep supporting our friends outside the union, the fight against terrorism, the fight against human trafficking, the fight against poverty, underdevelopment, because this is the only way to make sure that whatever decision we reach here in the next couple of days is sustainable and durable to last the test of time. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation. Also want to thank the members of the press. Looking forward to working with you and corresponding with you as respect the progress of the Parliament. So I believe that the constructive discussions that we're going to have would only make our union ever stronger and ever better. Thank you very much.
Regarding the GHA Council, the data retention period has been kept on the proposed 3 years for all categories. We advise the LIBE Committee to reconsider their amendment concerning this topic in light of the trilogues on Sunday. The Commission is convinced that a data retention period of 3 years is desirable in order to reach the objectives of the proposal. Concerning the interoperability between the VIS and the EES, we are pleased to see that the LIBE Committee and the GHA Council both agreed on a slightly changed text, which is supported by the Commission. The Commission acknowledges the progression made in the AFET Committee, but wants to recommend them to truly explore the European Council's agenda very thoroughly. We want to remind them that all issues discussed in the agenda are of great importance for the European Union and should not be considered lightly. Within the European Council, we have moved forward on several issues. We want to thank all heads of government and state for their enthusiasm and cooperation. There was a lot of debate on the sharing of data and further enhancing the partnership with ECOWAS and other African nations. The Commission welcomes the concern of member states with fundamental human rights, especially on data protection. Nevertheless, a lot of important topics remain, such as the external relation with Turkey and the resettlement as well as the relocation of refugees. We urge all member states to take up their responsibility and work together in order to move the European Union forward. Thank you.
Dear esteemed colleagues, the European Council has made significant progress in addressing the subject matter surrounding irregular migration flows. Amendments proposed have been fruitful and with expanding upon the points written in the draft conclusions. Various member states have expressed concerns about data sharing to international partners and even law authorities. Limiting this to relevant authorities reflects the nature of subsidiarity enshrined in our European Union. It also reflects the dynamic nature of external states and organizations, particularly regarding their impact upon irregular migration flows into the European Union. Stemming upon this, an amendment has made more specific our cooperation with ECOWAS, thus allowing us to address irregular migration from West African states in a way seeking to address economic motivations to migrate into the European Union. Accordingly, the European Council has set the framework for expanding our cooperation with West African states. There was, however, the necessity to further discuss an amendment and its wording. There is the desire for certain member states to further existing relocation schemes, whereas others want to simply maintain existing ones. For the sake of time, Section 1, surrounding irregular migration flows, has been tabled until the end of the agenda set thus far. We have thus begun discussing frontline member states and the positions of various member states regarding potential amendments to this section of the draft conclusion. As President of the European Council, I view optimistically our progress made currently and our tentative progress made throughout the rest of these meetings, and I look forward to enhancing our cooperation with the President of the European Commission and their proposal, as well as the President of the European Parliament. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my fellow delegates and faculty. I am pleased to report that the JHA Council is continuing these difficult discussions on border security and data retention. We are striving to make efforts on the Commission's proposal along with the LIBE Committee and the European Parliament with aid from the Commission. We have had some minor road bumps, but we will work past these complications through compromise in order to put Europe and its citizens first. These debates that we are currently facing are hard conversations on data retention with significantly varying viewpoints, but I am confident in the Justice and Home Affairs Council that we will succeed in finding common ground in the next few days. Member states are working together and proposing amendments that will make us safer here in Europe, and the Romanian presidency could not be more excited. We have not concluded our conversations yet on data retention, but we have much to debate over the next few days and with other topics as well. But I foresee each of these debates to be extremely fruitful. While we all share common goals and different viewpoints on how to achieve these goals, we must remember that we are all European citizens within this union. United, we stand strong. I look forward to continuing the work made by the JHA Council so far and foresee coming to a resolution at the conclusion of this summit. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, please let me apologize for yesterday because I later understood that I almost swallowed my mic. So I hope it's actually much better today. Okay, so how far have we gone in the Parliament? I believe that we have really made substantial progress, and I also want to appreciate the Commission for the great effort that they have actually put into the process, because indeed they've been very, very helpful in the course of our negotiation in the Parliament. As rightly mentioned by the President of the Commission, we have really made substantial progress in the Labour Committee with respect to the Commission's report. A number of amendments has actually been passed, and the Commission is actually in agreement with that. So we believe that we are good to land safely eventually, while we keep working towards this collective approach in reaching an agreement. Also, with respect to the Council's draft conclusion, there is also good energy in the AFET committee, because they have really worked in making sure that we have a good approach to this draft, and they are really in line with this particular draft of the Council. And then also, basically what we have right now is just a strengthening of the language. There is no noticeable objection to the Council's draft. The only thing that I would like to add is that we see as important the common European asylum system. So we urge the Council, and including the Commission, to try as much as possible to begin a process whereby we would have a policy that would ensure a common European asylum system for the greater benefit of each and every one of us. We also want to include into that it's important that there is no opt-out option for any member state, so that there will not be a case where we don't have a uniform policy that will not be in the interest of our union. And then any state that doesn't follow this principle in good faith would actually face some coercive measures to bring them in alignment. But in general, we're doing very well. We are working together. It doesn't mean that we have actually experienced the each-free negotiation, but at the same time, I really want to commend the constructive manner in which all the parties have actually supported this cause. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I believe that at the end of the day, we will be able to have an agreement that will be good for each and every one of us and for all of our citizens respectively. So for the members of the press, once again, I want to invite you to actually have discussions with the Parliament, because a lot of technical details can be discussed in the media group, in the media meeting. So my office is quite open to that. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. First, with respect to the AFET committee, the resolution reached is that the Parliament welcomes the recommendation by the Council in its draft conclusion. Amongst many other recommendations, we particularly want to stress that Parliament favors a comprehensive definition for the term cooperation with third countries. And we also favor the empowerment of Frontex. In addition to this, Parliament also would like to promote the legislation for the establishment of a centralized European asylum system that strongly encourages the fulfillment of the member states' obligations. So we would be looking forward to the commitment from all members to make sure that we make this possible through the help of the Commission. And also with respect to the Libe rapporteur that presented his report concerning the RTP, that's the Registered Travelers Package, Travelers Program, and then the Blue Card Directive. The Parliament was also able to reach a resolution this morning. And then what I would like to inform the plenary this morning is that Parliament equally welcomes the recommendation by the Council on its draft conclusion towards the Registered Traveller Program, and urges the Commission to resume discussion on the RTP to address the concerns as to interoperability and law enforcement access to data, including cost implication. Another resolution that was reached concerns the EU visa policy and the Blue Card Directive, and the Parliament welcomes changes made in order to attract highly skilled third country national workers and to compete in the global market, and support the need to also address the concerns of brain drain, including urging member states to create a partnership with third countries which contributes highly skilled labor to the European Union. So far so good. These are the resolutions that has been reached in Parliament that my dear colleagues in Parliament has actually given me the mandate to report to this House. And so I want to use this opportunity to thank members of the Commission for how they've really cooperated with us in this negotiation. It has not been easy, but we are very, very happy that our unity was able to shield us from our differences, and we have been able to reach a decision that we can go back to our citizens and tell them that we have delivered the mandate. Also, I give special thanks to the President of the Council for his cooperation as well with my team, and also to the President of the Justice and Home Affairs Council. We look forward to a better and stronger European Union. Thank you very much. Those in favor? Okay. This proposal has passed. Thank you.
And I can also imagine the issues that the other committees had to overcome in order to reach a conclusion today. Earlier today, the JHA Council met with the Commission and the LIBA Committee in a trialogue in order to discuss the proposal set forth by the Commission. After sharing very similar views and amendments made by both committees, the JHA Council of Delegates and the LIBA Committee representatives finally came to a debate on the heated topic of data sharing through the EES. Initially, the Commission put in its proposal maintaining 3 years on each for bona fide travelers, visa overstayers, and third-party nationals refused entry at our borders in the entry-exit system. The Justice and Home Affairs Committee agreed with this resolution and proposed it again to the LIBA Committee. The significantly lower proposal by the LIBA Committee put a strain on the delegates of the JHA Council who were not initially interested in reducing the data. After the Commission also threatened to pull the entirety of the proposal, a reasonable compromise was made by the representative from the Czech Republic. Information storing will be maintained at 3 years for third-party nationals. Refused entry at our borders, and information will be stored for 3 years for visa overstayers and for 3 years for bona fide travelers, but reduced to 2 years at the request of the traveler and to respect his or her human rights, one of the fundamental aspects of the LIBA Committee. At this time, I will now bring the JHA Committee to vote on the final proposal as it stands with the amendment proposed by the JHA and LIBA Committees. All those in favor of the proposal as it currently stands, please stand and raise your placards. All those against the proposal as it currently stands, please stand and raise your placard. Thank you. The proposal has passed. Twice before, I have mentioned the motto of the Bulgarian Council presidency, and I will say it one final time. United, we stand strong. We must put aside our differences as various member states, each trying to cling onto its own sovereignty, yet maintaining a unified Europe. Language, culture, and nationality do not define us. It is how we use these differences to grow and make ourselves stronger that is the most important. Today is a testament of 28 members coming together under one union to make Europe a safer place for all those who may live here or come to enjoy its wealth. I would like to thank you to the LIBA Committee and to the Commission for all your hard work leading up to and during the simulation and for the compromises we made. I would also like to thank all the faculty and staff who helped organize the event, and to my professors for helping us succeed and at the conferences like this and helping us grow through your dedication as students. I would now like to address the delegates within my committee. Honorable delegates of the JHA Committee, I would like to thank all of you for your patience, efforts, and enthusiasm for all that we accomplished these past few days. I am honored to have had such a diverse group of individuals who are all passionate and knowledgeable about the discussions over the last few days. No matter how many times I thought about banging a few of your heads together in order to get you to compromises, I was always extremely pleased with the nature of the debate and the respect that you had for each other. It was a pleasure working with all of you and being your chair this week. I look forward to working with all of you, be it in future careers and future EuroSims. Once again, thank you to everyone and all other delegates for your hard work. Safe travels home from wherever you may be from, and congratulations on another successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, sorry for my voice. I don't know if I will make it to the end of the speech, but I sincerely hope so. We want to congratulate all ministers of the Council and all members of Parliament with their constructive and open approach. As the Commission, we are extremely thankful for this. The discussion this morning have clarified all the disparities between the Council and the Committee, and the amendments proposed have been accepted, sometimes slightly modified. Conciliations on data access and rights to information have been made by all three parties in order to be able to reach one joint text of amendments on our proposal. The main topic of discussion, as has already been mentioned, was concerning the data retention period. The final agreement is the following. The data of bona fide travelers shall be kept for 3 years, but they have the opportunity to request that it is only retained for 2 years. If done so, this request has to be granted by the competent authorities. Data of overstays and refusals of entry shall be kept for 3 years. In the European Council, consensus was also reached after some issues were debated and compromise was reached. We welcome the conclusions of the European Council and will take note of them as a Commission. We appreciate especially appreciate the recommitment of Member States to fight corruption. With regards to the establishment of an R2P, the Commission takes note of the recommendations. The Blue Card Directive is currently under revision, and the Commission is aware of the shortcomings and is laboring to attract more high-skilled workers and is really appreciative of the work that is done by the heads of government within the European Council. Another outstanding issue was the relationship with Turkey. On a personal note, it saddens me to see that Turkey is moving away in giant strides from Europe. Those in power need to stop insulting our member states by comparing their leaders to fascists and Nazis. I get the feeling that Turkey is deliberately placing roadblocks so that it can blame Europe for any breakdown in accession talks. As for us, we will always keep our hands stretched out towards the Turkish people and all those who are ready to work with us on the basis of our values. The European Council agreed upon cooperating for the sake of the people in need, and the Commission applauds that decision. That is why the EU-Turkey statement needs full implementation. Even if we are now moving away from crisis mode, it is evident that migration will remain a challenge for the generation of Europeans to come. Europe urgently needs to equip itself with future-proof means of managing migration responsibly and fairly. We have made solid progress in the past 3 years, but now it is time to turn those proposals into law and law into practice. Nevertheless, we have managed to stem irregular flows of migrants, which were a cause of great anxiety for many. We have reduced irregular arrivals in the Eastern Mediterranean by 97% thanks to our agreement with Turkey. That is why the Commission is so happy that this is still in the recommendation from the European Council. We want to congratulate all delegations present with their willingness to move forward and work towards a stronger European Union. As I have stated before, the European Union was not built to stand still, and we believe that today we have proven once more that even if we have our differences, we are one union and that we will strive for a better European future where we protect, empower and defend. Now, on a personal note, as a Commission, we would also like to thank the student directors and everybody involved in the organization of this simulation. And as Commission President, I would really ask you for a grand applause for my commissioners team who did such a great job out in this conference. So dear colleagues, thank you for keeping the European Union alive.
At the end of the last plenary session, I, as President of the European Council, initially had doubts as to whether we in the European Council would cover all agenda topics by the end of this meeting. However, I'm pleased to announce that we have indeed concluded discussion on all relevant topics. On yesterday, we started and concluded discussions regarding Subject 3, the Common European Asylum System. We changed some vocabulary within this topic, talking about a cooperative approach instead of a uniform minimum standard. The thought process behind this was to ensure that there is an increased cooperation between member states, all the while ensuring that situations within each member states can dynamically change, and thus individual member states should not be singled out should they not meet the requirements set forth through various regulations and legislation set forth by the European Commission and European Parliament. We also decided that expanding the wishes of the European Council from fragmenting and dismantling of transnational crime networks, also expanding that to terrorist networks, reflects a very contemporary issue facing the European Union to this day. The threat of terrorism within every single member state of this European Union is a valid threat and needs to be addressed accordingly. And also, we also advocate for a deeper harmonization of internal policy, so working towards each member state cooperating greatly more closely with one another in order to achieve significant progress with the common European asylum system. Today, we talked about sections 4 through 6, so the Registered Traveler Program, the EU reevaluation of EU visa policy if appropriate, and also the Blue Card Directive and external relations. And I would say that all three discussions of these sections were very fruitful. We decided that the Registered Traveler Program would no longer take into consideration explicitly people having close ties to citizens of the European Union, as we as a European Council decided that the other 4 conditions in which the Registered Traveler Program would take individuals into utmost consideration were covered through such classifications as business travelers, workers on short-term contracts, researchers and students, as well as people living in states bordering the European Union, which was also another amendment made, signifying that we wish to expand the Registered Traveler Program more closely with states bordering us as a method of ensuring safer cooperation in terms of traveling into and out of the European Union. Regarding external relations, we expanded our discussion of relations with African countries, switching the wording of Ethiopia to the Horn of Africa. And this is taking into consideration that more countries in the immediate vicinity of Ethiopia experience similar issues with conforming to human rights standards set forth by both the European Union and the United Nations. And we also expanded our debates regarding relations with Turkey into also discussing Russia, also expressing the inherent need, as President of the European Commission stated, that we need to take note of increased human rights violations happening within the Republic of Turkey. We as a European Council must remain vigilant, and we must respond in cooperation with the European Commission and European Parliament. We also expanded and we started talking about our stance vis-a-vis Syria and Libya. Again, making sure that human rights standards are being upheld, as we decided that human rights plays a significant factor in the issue of external relations, especially playing in our theme of smart borders. That being said, heads of state and government, all in favor of adopting the final conclusions as mentioned in the European Council, please stand up. All opposed? Thank you. And any abstentions? Delegates, decorum, please. Seeing that we have reached consensus regarding the passage of these final conclusions, I am pleased to announce to all esteemed colleagues that we in the European Council have officially passed our final conclusions. Thank you.